Hello there. Today we got guide and tips on getting started in ASKA. So this is going to be a lot of information. We got 140 days plus survived. And this game has a big hurdle that you're going to have to overcome. So we're going to talk about that mostly because the first hurdle in this game is surviving the first winter. And that's the first tip you're going to have to come across is you have to survive that first winter. And to do that, you're going to have some cloth armor for yourself or any type of armor whatsoever that has that cold resistance for it. And so you can survive that first winter. And just before winter, you're going to get attacked by a big bear boss that's going to attack your town, and you want to be able to survive that. It's the big damage difference if you don't have armor versus having armor, and you're unlikely to kill that bear, if you don't have armor. So yeah, our goal is to be focusing on getting you to that point before wintertime. After that, everything else is golden. Now, to get to that point, you have a whole bunch of different stages you're going to have to do to get there, and that's making a workshop level 2 with the add-ons for the weaver and the leather worker, obviously, to get that up and running. And then of course you're going to need the support buildings to actually craft that, and that's the woodcutter's hut level 2, the stone and the gatherer's hut. They all have to be level 2 too, and you need all those little workers as fast as possible and in place to actually start building your base. So let's cover some of those basics that you do when you get started on this game. There's really not much to do. The first thing you want to do in this game once you get started is find a major base location. So you want your main base location, and the 3 tips I have for you on finding a main base location is finding that mine. The mine is going to be a very important resource. It's going to look like this big yellow rock right here. So as soon as you find this is where you build your cave entrance. You can get in there. You can harvest some of those big rocks and iron. You're gonna be good. You're gonna be golden for those 2 resources, and they are very important resources to have. So the first thing you do is find that mine. Now, once you find that mine, you're gonna build a base nearby. So the next priority for your base building is to search around that mine and look for a deer spawn. Now, the spawn I found myself is over here. So if my iron was over here and my deer spawn is over there, so I'm going to make my base in this area here. But there's still one more priority that you're going to need for your base building, and that's not boxing yourself in. That's an important thing you don't want to do. So right over here is a wolf den, for an example, and this is where the cave entrance is. So logically speaking, since this game does this spawns in circles, the circle between here and there is right there in the middle. That should be the middle, but the wolves don't stop right there. That's not their circle. Their circle actually extends to way out over here. So their circle will be much bigger than that. So their diameter of their boss range is over here. That's the range where they harass you. They harass me right on top of this road, even though their spawn is right there. So just be aware of how big the radius is that these monster spawns have. So that means there could have been another monster spawn right here. There could have been another one maybe over here and over there and over there, and you get the idea. They could be really close together. Right here is one, and right there is one. That's how close they could be together, and they could have been like all over the place on here. That's how random your map can be, and you don't want to box yourself in. 1 or 2 boss spawns is kind of okay, but you just got to be aware of how big their radius is, and they will really bug you, and you don't want to build inside their radius because they just keep respawning. So just be aware of not boxing yourself in on your base, and then you should have a good base location because you have the resources you need. You got the stone, you got the metal, and you got your unlimited supply of meat, basically, and then you should be good. Now, after that, there's still more things you got to do to actually build your base. Once you find that location and do that, you have to start using the tools that this game offers you, and that's the terrain leveling fields. You're gonna have to keep using this a lot and get lots of level terrain because what I found out in this game, the major thing you want to do when you're first starting your base, which I didn't do, as you can see, my base is pretty sloppy. There's stuff all over the place, and I built that place first, and I expanded over here, then I expanded over there. Yeah, it's all over the place. Don't do that. Be more organized. And I recommend the first thing you want to organize for yourself is your warehouse. Now, you're going to need 2 of these in this game, not just one. You're going to need one dedicated just for your workshop because you need that cloth armor, you need the carpentry station for the level 3 stuff. So you have to plan ahead. If you don't plan ahead, you're going to have a cluster F like this, and that's not going to be good. This is how much room that your storehouses, your warehouses are going to take, and you need 2 of these, and you want these in the center of your base. So once you find your area, we're going to build your base. Make sure you have area, land that you can flatten out and a place to actually put this. You don't have to build this right away, but you have to know where you're going to be putting the center of your village. You can start on the outside, you can start wherever you want, it doesn't matter. The only part that's going to matter to me at the end of the day is where my warehouses are, and they got to be in the center of where my village is going to be once it's fully expanded, because you definitely want them in the middle, because I didn't do that, and that was something you're going to want to do. Now, the other problem is going to be your actual workshops. So you're going have to get these things to level 2, and then you need 2 of these also, and they both need to be fully upgraded. And this is how much room they take up, fully upgraded. And of course, you want these close to your warehouse. So you want one of these workshops dedicated to like one warehouse, and then the other workshop is just for you, basically. You want your worker doing the one warehouse, and it's good to go. As you can see, my builders are building in the priority over there on that tab settlement on the top left. So your builders will go in priority by that tab over there. So you can just you prioritize your building, and they will do they'll fix that one up first, and then they go to the next one. That's how you get your villagers to do jobs that you want them to do for later on. They were repairing that stuff, and it's almost done. So I wanted to share that with you right away. So now you got that area where you want to build your base planned out. Now you can start playing the game basically, and start building stuff and surviving and gathering those resources, because before then you really didn't need to do nothing besides pick berries and survive until you find that base location. Then you can start building your base. Some of the things you might come across at the start of the game is some healing issues, but you can deal with those with healing issues with garlic and onions. They're the healing foods for you. But once your food gets into the red and the yellow, you can't really eat it anymore. Well, you can eat the cooked food. It doesn't really hurt me eating the cooked food once it's in the yellow, but eating garlic and onions, when it's in the yellow, you're not going to get the healing buffs off them, and that healing buff stacks. So I got 10 right here. I can eat like 3 or so where I don't need the healing, and those buffs should stack, and they're not actually stacking. Maybe it says it's not yellow. That's weird. It's supposed to be in the yellow, but I guess I'm getting a little bit of a time delay, and I need fresher garlic. I guess that kind of sucks. We'll go to my sloppy farm here, and hopefully we have some. Yeah, we got some fresher garlic right here, so we can put that away and maybe eat that. There we go. See, there's that healing buff I was talking about. Stacked up to 4 times. The garlic has that cooling buff on the bottom there. You can see stacked up, and the onion buff. That's for healing. Now you're going to have to get some. You might want to get some weapons at the start of the game, and the weapon I recommend is the spiked club. It's just because it does really good damage. And like in 4 days, you're getting attacked by zombies. You can probably punch them to death if you really want to, but your simple axe you build is probably good enough. But if you really want to, you can go ahead and make some bows and arrows and kill a deer, and then harvest them that way. The deer are not too hard to kill in this game, even though your first bow sucks and this arc sucks. If that altar right there, for example, was a deer, you can sneak up onto them and get about this close before they run away, and then you just shoot them. And if that was a deer's head, you aim like way up over there type of thing, because the arc is really bad. But once you get that first hit in on a deer, they slow down, and it doesn't matter what your stamina is. You can run them down, you can walk, and then you run them down. You will eventually catch up to them, so you can melee them to death, and they'll slow down eventually, and then you won't have to worry about them anymore. But that is just the first little parts of surviving. The other thing is you're going to need a lot of rope in this game, and so you're going to need a lot of fibers in this game. So that's a lot of flax you got to farm up there. But the other alternatives you can use is going to be bark. So you can take some bark and also thatch, but I don't recommend you doing this with thatch. And then once it's in your inventory, I know the tooltips disappear really fast, so you can't really hover over it. The first time you hover over something, it really disappears fast most of the time. But you just shift click it, and you'll get some fibers. So that's how you can deal with your extra bark. That's just an obvious thing you can do. Most of the other tips that people have out there is just following what the game says. You read the tooltips at the start. That's not really helpful at all. So once you get that base location started for yourself, and you know where you're going to build your warehouses, you're not going to build them first. You're not going to have time to flatten out all that land with your tools and stuff like that. You're going to have to start building your first gathering huts in your first little house. You can build them off to the side. You can tear these apart and put them back together again somewhere else later on. As long as they're not going to impede your work, flattening your terrain for your major builds for the center of your town later on, that won't be a problem. That's something I should have done. I should have just destroyed all this stuff and done my stuff properly at the start. That's why I'm recommending you do that, and just keep this stuff out of the way at the start of the game. But the first thing you're going to want to build after you build your little hut is you're going to want to build the wood gathering place. What do they call this? The woodcutter's hut. Yeah. Build the woodcutter's hut, and then go ahead and build some more houses and stuff like that, and get a gatherer's hut, and then the stone hut, and about that order. And for your workers, I would recommend having try and get the 5 workers as fast as possible. And the first one will go to gathering wood. The second one can be a builder, and then the third one can go gather some food, and then the fourth can get some rocks, and then the fifth one is going to be on your workhouse for your workshop to start building stuff for you, because you really need this guy to start crafting rope for the builders and making all these tools. They will automatically put the tools on the tool rock, task them with one tool at a time for each of the tools, and you'll be good to go until you get this stuff upgraded to level 2 and stuff like that. So As soon as you get those other buildings up and done, you'll be able to build this one here at level 1. And one of the first tools you're going to want to build for yourself is going to be this road making tool, because you're going to have to flatten out the terrain around your bases and stuff like that with the hoe. And then you're going to want to build roads, because roads are going to be, this is something you don't want to wait and do later on, even though they could be temporary roads. But you need to go from where you're going to be working and where you're going to be gathering stuff a lot faster than what the game will provide you for you if you don't have roads, because this is the on-road movement. I am running around on the roads. My stamina, just watch the stamina bar at the bottom. It's barely going down on the roads, and that is how you want it to be. This is off-road. This is what you're going to be seeing for the start of the game, and it really, really sucks. You're done 5 seconds later, you're out of stamina. That's how important the roads are going to be inside your town, and then later on you can build on the outside and stuff like that. And you can get your guys to help you. Like if your terrain is a relatively level, you can just make a single job for these guys to do to flatten this terrain. I can go ahead and pin this here, get to work and pin that, and he'll start doing this one here first, and they'll flatten out that terrain over there. And once it's flattened out, you can get your road making tool, and you can start using that, because your workers won't do this to make your roadways for yourself. But that is like a key factor in this game, and you should be recommending, it's highly recommended you start doing that as soon as you get that first stage of the warehouse up and running. But we need those first 5 guys, and when you summon a guy on this altar right here, the first one's easy. After you make your Eye of Odin, you're going to have a choice between 2 perks on the 2 guys. That's it. It's not much of a choice, and these guys have 5 perks on them. You're not going to be able to see the rest of the perks on there that you're going to get. So you're going to want to get the perks that are good that you can see, and be recommended on those. So this guy's junky, like feeble lography, clumsy at Stoom. That's why he's junk. She should be dead by now. But you want to get your workers with good stats. I'm trying to find some that are working here so I can show you for an example, but that doesn't matter. The first 2 perks you're going to, the best perks that I found in this game is going to be the winter resilience perks. Anything that protects you from the cold in this game is going to be the key factor, because you have to survive that winter. That is the whole goal of all of this, is to survive the first winter. So you need this at level 2, and you need this moon going up there so you can craft that armor. Of course, your armor is also going to need, some leather and stuff like that. So getting your leather worker up and running too is going to be one of your other priorities before you can start making the better quality armor that you can craft right at the bat versus the other stuff. And that's why you want a deer spawn nearby. So there's a deer right there running around. So they've got the deer spawn right there, and I can kill them and harvest their resources. And you should be good to go on that department right there. But your guys, for an example, is just going to be the perks that you're going to be able to see. So the winter resilience ones is going to be a very nice one to have. The next one is going to be the nighttime perk. So if they can work at nighttime, that's way better than the daytime. I think this is the nighttime cook. No, he's the junkie cook. He's still on the day shift. Where are you? There you are. There's that nighttime guy I wanted to show you. Yeah, because he's got he's a cold resistance, the winter resilience. You want that cold resistance. He's got the nighttime, which helps for cold also. And that's your second best buff. The third, the next, all the other buffs don't really matter to me at the end of the day. The only one that does matter is going to be that hunger one. And that's the one you don't want. You don't want the ones that say, I'm good at something, but I eat more. The thirsty one is fine. Like this one right here, he's got more hit points, but he drinks more. That is fine. If you have a choice between 2 guys, you can see 2 perks, and it's thirsty, and he's like Constitution, for example, or nighttime and mining, I would recommend going with the thirsty one, even though you're guaranteed to have a nighttime buff or a good one. But when you pick that guy with these 2 perks, for example, the other 3 perks, he could have one that says, I need to eat more. And that is, I would rather avoid that. I'd rather have a guy than working in the daytime that gets thirsty and has a buff for it versus a guy that gets hungry and has a buff for it and not work at nighttime. That is how important that food buff is to me, at least. And that's what I recommend. So you can do what you want for your guys, but everything else seems to fall all over the place as long as I can try and guarantee that I don't get that food buff, because if I pick a guy with the food buff, I get disappointed at the end of the day, because they just become a hassle to feed at the end of the day with all the resources you have to waste on them versus the benefit of that buff. And the cold buff is also takes priority over that. So, but it doesn't take priority over the food buff. You see that food buff, just try and avoid it. But if you can't, then they go for the other perks that you can get. The nighttime and the cold resistance ones as you fit. It's very dark out this night. Wow. But anyways, once you start getting the stuff built up and you got your guys up and running, you're going to have to start, that's about it. You're done. There's not much else to recommend on that front for getting started. It's just, you get those first 5 guys because and I didn't really tell you why you want that crafting guy and why it's important. And I didn't do this, and this is why I want you to do this. I want your guy to start making the tools right away. Just one tool at a time. Do not make a tool rack for yourself. This is a thing I have to fix for my guys now. So I got this tool rack. I should have done the inventory better, but they make one tool, like a hoe, and then the warehouse worker takes it away and puts it in this tool rack, and the guys don't pick it up, and it just becomes a hassle, and the toolmaker just keeps making the same tools over and over again because the warehouse worker takes the tools and puts them away. So you're going to want to organize your stuff properly using the tasks once you assign a worker to them on there. No, not tasks for that, tasks for this guy right here. So picky, this game. It's so picky. Go onto this log. I'm right here. Like, what is the problem here? Log sticks. Well, maybe I have to do on that one. This is what I don't like about this game. All these controls are really bad. But anyways, this is the task for this one here. As you can see, no long sticks and only hardwood sticks, because this is feeding my worker over here, my construction worker, my carpentry worker on the other one right here that I have. So you're going to want your guy working on carpentry worker also. That's a separate skill, but you want that skill up there for the crafting skill up there, so you can start crafting the better armors that you're going to unlock. Pretty soon in the game, actually, you can unlock them, but you won't be able to build them because the shoulder pad right here, you need a 49 in your crafting skill to be able to craft your shoulder pad. That's the only ones you can get, and to get the better armor in this game, you need 49 for that one too, and that's 240 armor with a nice cold resistance. 420. That's our favorite number, and then we have the other versus 160. The cold resistance is close to the same, but yeah, 160 armor versus 240. It's kind of a big difference for the armor. If you unlock that, you get that that big bonus. How much more armor is that? That's 80 armor right there, and then another 60 armor right there. So yeah, it's another 140 armor for your character once you get to that skill point. And of course, the last shoulders right here need 75. That is a huge hurdle to overcome, and it's something that you can't really do myself. I've been crafting all the armor and the tools myself for the most part for this game, and I've been armoring up all my guys, and my skill is just at like 53 for my skill, and that's why you kind of want a guy that is going to be good at crafting to get his skill up a lot faster than you and be doing all the work on those tools. Now, your optimal layout for your tool is going to be have your your weaver hut, so you can have your loom going, and then you're going to have your carpentry station on the other side. So it doesn't really matter if you place your first workshop hut in a bad spot for where you want the center of your village. You can rebuild it later. You can take apart the other one, and you can worry about your second workshop after and make that one your main workshop, because you're going to need 2 of these things at level 2 anyways, and you can worry about the other one later on, and then move the loom over there and put your blacksmith on the other one if the spot is okay for you as you build them. But the optimal layout you're going to want to have is a carpentry station on one side and the weaver's hut, I guess it's called, on the other side. So your worker can do the tools, he can do the armor crafting, and he can do the carpentry stuff, and the other workshop will just be for blacksmithing and leatherworking, which is nothing. You don't really do anything for leatherworking. All you really do for leatherworking is come over here and drop stuff in inventory and wait till it's cured. That's it. There's not much else you can do in here for workstation, besides you can craft some leather hides with the scraps. So that's how you get those. You will be able to see that workstation relatively easy. But yeah, you're going to get lots of leather scraps until you get a metal knife for your stuff, but you'll be able to get that, and then that's where you get the other hides for later on. They really should have put an option in here for actually crafting the pelts, because pelts are like a lower level recipe for your cloak basically, and it offers really good cold resistance for your guys on there versus for your capes for instance basically, because you want that cold resistance, right? And sorry for that outside noise. That sucks. I'll try and talk a little bit louder. But yeah, this pelt right here, it's 180 cold resistance. Not much for armor. And then the other cloak right here actually, is just 126. And it'll be easier to make. It's easier to make this one here than this one here, because the pelts are a little bit harder to get. But you want that extra cold resistance for yourself and your guys before wintertime. So once you have that stuff up and running, the next stage is building towers and building walls and defending yourself and things like that. Now, as you can see, the center of my main work area here is lacking in defenses. All my defenses are on the outside, so my task over here says my structures are all defenseless, and they don't like that. So I make sure you're trying to make a little bit of a space inside your base to build a tower. You don't really have to man it, or you probably should maybe later on if you want to make them happy, but just a simple watchtower somewhere, they don't take up much room in the middle of your base, in the middle of your work areas, so they can say, hey, I'm defended. It doesn't really matter if they're actually functional or not, but that is something you can do to make your people happy later on. But for defending your village and making walls and stuff like that around there, as you start off with these little what are they called, wedge towers? Like I don't care for the names too much. The hedge towers. These ones here are really good for defense. They really don't really need anything to repair them most of the time. You guys will just repair them without using any resources, and the other towers are really weak. So these ones are good for defense for frontline to start with. But as you can see, the base can get really big, so start renaming your towers. Rename your towers, like this one here is Tower by the Hunter Gate, and I start renaming your walls, by the wall by the Hunter, basically. So all my walls are renamed near this area, wall for the Hunter. You just go in here and click on this one here, and then you can you can copy and paste your name after you put it in there, and just copy and paste it, and do your walls like that. So that's highly recommended to start naming your walls and naming your towers, so you know where the attacks are coming from, because you're going to get attacked by wolves in the daytime. You're going to get attacked by that bear, of course. You get attacked by invasions, and of course that blood moon guys are going to attack you. You want to know where they're attacking from, so name the sides of your base. Like over here is my new training area, so I put my walls as training. My farm area is over there, so if they attack on that side, it's my farm walls are being attacked. Over there is my mine area, so my mine walls and bases are being attacked. That kind of stuff is really going to help you out at the end of the day. So that's why I recommend you do that. Yeah, your food is full because your worker is doing nothing. They suck at this stage of the game. And also, that's one of the bugs you might want to be aware of that hopefully they fix. After you get past like 100 days or so, some of your guys just start dying for no reason. Well, they say they're reason, but freezing to death when they're standing beside a fire is not a reason in my book that works. And dying of thirst is going to be the other thing that some people died of for no reason either. As you can see, there's lots of water everywhere. And that's one of the tips when you're cleaning out your base and leveling your terrain. Make sure you're not leveling over top of those little rocks with water in them. Those are the places where you build those wells, and you want that well built right away. So build your well first before you start making, flattening the terrain around the well area. Once it's built, it's okay. The road making tool won't break them. So, and you want lots of wells all over your base, so they actually have water. Even though later on they become dumbasses and still don't drink it and just die. I think they got bugged in the tower, and I think that's one of the bugs that they fixed, because they got a tower over here, and the guy died in the tower because he got too thirsty, so he died, and just that was that. So it's like, your guy died of thirst. It's like the well is right there, so that's why I left it there. I built the well, and then I flattened the terrain after. So make sure you're doing stuff like that. Another cheap trick you can do at the start of the game is when you're starting to defend yourself and get some first defenses out there. It's like, my tower over here, which I haven't named yet because I haven't had a chance to. Just once you build your little tower like this, you can build a hut nearby, and that's my defender. So if this place gets attacked right now, he has a chance of waking up and helping defend himself. And if they do break through, this guy will wake up and start fighting because he's a guard. And then nearby, you also have a fire by your guard towers, because in the wintertime, that's the killer. If they have a fireplace nearby, they have a chance at actually lighting the fire for themselves and keeping warm, and that's probably the max range from the tower to here to keep warm. But yeah, I added the food rack just in case, because this is far away from my base, and so I could add food over here if I want to make them happier, and they got water nearby. So as long as your gates and your towers and stuff like that have a little hut nearby with the guy defending it, you should have a little bit easier of a time defending your base at the end of the day for that. This is good. Who cares? They'll fix it eventually. These workers. Now, what I say about recommending for keeping the thatch, and that's because for the beds, because you're going to be able to build a cottage right away. It doesn't take too long to build a cottage in this game, and at the start they look kind of crappy. Where's this cottage housing right here? Cottage. The resources you need. The big rocks, the logs you're going to be getting right away after you build the workshop level 1. So all this stuff you can start building this stuff at level 1. And you might want to put these guys into the better houses sooner rather than later if you get the opportunity, because look, you have to get your clothing to survive the wintertime. You need to gear yourself out there, and then your guy's out after, so he's got some basic clothing for himself to survive. But yeah, get the hell out of my doorway, buddy. Stop. I don't care about you, go away. But yeah, the inside of these things are pretty bad to start with, because the layout is, a furnace in the back, and then 2 beds. That's it. But you can go ahead and dismantle the stuff. You get your resources back, and then build it properly. So it's a simple thing to do to recommend is go over there, build the fireplace. Put it over here, for example. That's what I would do. When I have time, I would actually just build one of these, put the fireplace over there after dismantle everything, and then put beds all along the side right here. So you can put them sideways, and you can fit like 8 beds around here, and then maybe 2, like another one there sideways, another one there sideways, and that means they have actually room to walk, and then they have room to sleep, and then they have a fire pit inside, and they'll be happy enough at the end of the day. But you can fit 10 guys versus the 2, and if you change the layout inside your cottage. So that's something that you should be doing when you have time, when you recommend it. Instead of building a whole bunch of actual big houses, like the long houses where you can add extensions that are just as big as it, and make a big huge house if you want to. That's stuff you could do later on. But yeah, it's just getting to that point where you get that armor, which is going to be the key factor, and getting those the proper guys to do all the work for you later on. But it's surviving the winter, and if you could Also, you're doing good in this game if you have your first set of cloth armor for yourself, or linen armor, basically cloth linen. The same thing. Even if it's just a basic flimsy shirt versus the thick one. Like if you don't have cured leather, but you can get that right away too, right? Since you can make it with scraps, and you have a deer farm nearby, so you can start killing lots of deer yourself, and getting those scraps, and then you can turn that into leather. You might be able to make something like that, but that doesn't really matter as long as you have something for armor for yourself. Well, this doesn't really have armor, so that's why I didn't make it myself. I waited to this one that had 50 armor, and I focused on building that one first for myself. But the pants, they have armor. They don't need anything special, just a regular leather hide for it, and versus no armor. But yeah, just get the things that have armor and craft those first for yourself, like easy 10 armor for the boots, that type of thing, versus the stuff. And then you should be good to go. Then you can worry about the blacksmithing and all that kind of stuff after also. And do the blacksmithing yourself. It's easy to do once you get the hang of it. I'll probably do a short video on that one right there for that. You don't want your guys doing it. That's what I recommend you don't do, is have one of your workers do the blacksmithing stuff for you. They leave the jobs unfinished because these guys do, well, I do my job, I stop, I run away and do something else, and then the iron gets cold and turns into slag and you waste it. They're very wasteful. It doesn't matter how big or small the work order is, they waste your iron and things like that. But I can tell you the composition for the iron on your Blue Marine when you build that, because you want to build that right away. It's not that complicated to do. It's 5 iron and then the rest of the area filled with coal. So 5 iron, 15 coal. And that's what you can do to start crafting your iron for the optimal layout for yourself at the end of the day. At least it is right now. Who knows what's going to happen for updates and changes and stuff like that. But, weather permitting, you should get all this stuff done by wintertime, and that's good enough. If you don't have everything else organized, that's fine. If your warehouse isn't done yet and not flattened out in the center, that's fine. As long as you have that armor, you should have weapons to go with it also. But that's the side thing for your weapons. You don't really need to worry about the weapons too much. You can't really build the iron yet. If you can get up to iron, then well, that's good. You can go ahead and build your large iron axe right here. Well, this is what I still use. And the iron tools, they just drop their weapon heads, and then you can just rebuild them after with that. So you don't have to keep crafting the things on there. And I use the axe because the loggers use that axe also, so for their tools, so it's the same tool, so I can go back and forth for that. But if you can't build it, you can go ahead with with that simple spike club. It should be good enough to take out that bear if you don't have any real weapons or shields yet. And I didn't even bother with shields because I never block anything. I just dodge or hit them. That type of thing. But yeah, so there's nothing really much going on in the combat or anything like that. Everything else is self-explanatory. The only thing I can recommend is to, when you're doing your mine, build a tower beside your mine and man that one there. Because when you start getting your miner out there and he's starting to do stuff, you're going to get attacked by cave crawlers. And that's one right there, a baby crawler. Maybe when you get deeper in the mine, you're going to get bigger ones. But right now, it's just baby ones. They're not too strong, but your workers will not fight them usually. So you're going to want to have, a tower nearby. So this is what I didn't do right away, and I had to go there and kill them all myself. But yeah, if you have a tower nearby and he's manned while your worker is doing it, and what does he want? You need torches to work. He has torches over there. That's why you don't want a big base layout, and you want your mine and stuff like that, and your workers centralized, because that workhouse over there is too far, and that's where the torches are, and he won't go from here to there to grab torches, because that is just the way the game works right now, and they really need to fix that crap, because that is it just pisses me off, and I think it's garbage myself. But yeah, like having all the seeds on the ground is garbage. But yeah, that is just the way this game works right now. So that is basically it. After you get that the first stuff done for your armor, start making a farm. Not far away like I did, but make a farm and start making a couple fields. Just 2 fields to start with, or 1, whatever your one farmer can handle. 2 fields by himself, not a problem. And make that flax so you can make that fiber and fill up this whole thing full of fiber. This can all be full of stacks of fiber, and that's what you want, and that's what you're going to need, because you're going to have lots of guys, and they're going to need all that armor, and you need a ton of fibers. You're going to just build 2 fields, flax full time, and you should be good to go until you're done armoring up all your guys. Then you can probably just leave it down to 1 field, and then onions and onions and garlic is what I go for, because they do the healing. They can stack up even if they're not cooked. You can't really cook garlic unless it's in a soup, and you can only carry 1 soup item at a time in your inventory, which sucks. But you can carry a stack of 10 of garlic, for example, and use that for fast healing if you're going to be out there and exploring and fighting guys. But it's all about building these roads once you start, setting up flags everywhere. So you can set up flags everywhere in this game, and then you want to start building the roads. And you don't want to do all this road making by yourself. That's why like that stretch over here, you can see I haven't done it yet. That's because I had the workers tell them, I told them to flatten out that area themselves. Like they flattened out that area right there. You can see on the map. So that's them flattening that out there. Then I can go there with my road making tool and make that a road if I wanted to. And yeah, over there I didn't finish that part because that was, I told them to do that and they just didn't do it yet. But that is what you should recommend to do. And hopefully on your base you can find your cave a little bit closer to the shore than I did, because you definitely need a lot of that thatch, and that's why you don't want to convert that thatch into silly little fibers for yourself when you want to build a whole bunch of these cabins right here eventually and fill them up full of beds. This is like the sloppy layout you can have beforehand, like 6 beds if you don't dismantle stuff like I didn't do. So yeah, make sure you do that so you don't make a whole new base like I did at the start of the game. So yeah, I'm just going to start a whole new game myself eventually after the updates and stuff like that, and then try again and hopefully get a better base location than this one here. Because the wolf den is still a little bit too close for my comfort, and it's still annoying. And I still have to go out there and bug them and kill them as I harvest the trees over here because I wanted those extra trees. But as you can see, the wolves and stuff are easy, and we're like done this video basically. But yeah, might want to see how much bodies we have lying around here and how sloppy my woodworkers are. And it's just this is how annoying it can be if you have these guys near your base. And I got the puppies. They aren't worth it at the end of the day for themselves because they're kind of okay to fight the bosses with, and you can have like 4 of them or so in a group. But you just walk around them like that to hit them, and then you could just get a free couple shots after that to kill them for the wolves. Where's the other guy going? And sometimes they come and they run away. Yeah, but they respawn almost daily. Don't kill these 2 things right here. I killed the one, but yeah, don't kill them both. That will summon the boss, and he's a pain in the ass to actually deal with if it's near your base. Okay, I don't want to deal with a boss that's near my base and I'm not going to end up killing. And it only stops the spawns for like a few days, and then this stuff here will respawn and the boss comes back. That time, well, the boss doesn't come back. He'll come back if you kill these things. I already killed the wolf boss, somewhere else instead. But where is that other wolf? We saw him. So I'm going to show you some of the combat. Yeah, but the point is that, yeah, the wolves are kind of okay. They eat a lot. They're annoying. They really got to adjust the kennel. The kennel only feeds the wolves like 1 meat at a time. You can stick like 3 babies in. All you got to do is just drop the trap here and put some food in it and then wait for it to click and the message will pop up. And that it clicked. And then hopefully you got one, 50-50 or so. You just dodge, hit them a couple times, walk around. Well, this weapon's a little bit strong, and I'm a little bit better at melee skills, and I got a melee buff going on there, so 1 hit stuns them. But if I really want to, just hit them the first time to kill them. But yeah, they just do little bites and dodges and stuff like that. But yeah, just way too much bodies and too much crap to deal with. Now my worker can go in there and grab all that stuff without being harassed. But they should be able to take care of a wolf by themselves. But this game doesn't work perfectly. The guys take their weapons and then they just drop them and put them somewhere else and don't use them. It sucks. But yeah, that is it for today. And yeah, just don't worry about if you put your first buildings in the wrong spot. You can take them apart and build them back later on. That's something I should have done right away, instead of actually just staying there. Hey, I don't want to dismantle all this stuff and I don't want to change my base around. I should have always planned ahead to put your warehouse, so you know where you're going to put your first main warehouse and have room for the second main warehouse and your workshops nearby. That's the key factor at the end for your logistics, for your gameplay. For all the tips that I have for you today. So yeah, I know I'm missing some more tips for doing all this stuff there. So if you have any questions, just ask, and I could try and let you know about the stuff that I missed. But everything else is pretty self-explanatory in the game. Follow the tooltips of the game, and you should be good to go for everything else that you're going to need for this game. And at least that's what I think. Yeah, you don't really need you can read the tooltips for yourself. You can read what the buildings do for themselves. Everything else should be fine for you. So enjoy your gameplay. Survive that first winter, then you should be good to go on everything else. And that is it. So thanks for watching, and I will see you later.